welcome to Hashtag No Limits. I am your host, Shelley Kino, and Hashtag No Limits is about people who society places limits upon, but who are busting through those limits. Ophelia says in Hamlet, we know who we are, but not who we will be. And I believe that to be 100% true, and that there is not a better or more beautiful example than the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. Very quick, very simplified version of what happens in that situation is that the caterpillar literally dissolves into its cells. And when it must think its life is over, it then reforms into the butterfly. But it isn't finished struggling yet. It still has to fight its way out of the cocoon in order for its wings to take it everywhere it's going to soar to. I can't imagine that is easy, but neither is busting through the limits that society places upon us. And so I am so blessed and honored to bring all of the different guests that I have brought to you over the years. Please, if you are new, make sure that you give us a like, you give us a subscribe, and you hit that notification button so that you never miss a single episode of Hashtag No Limits and all the amazing people that are busting through limits and, like in today's guest, helping people to bust through limits. And so before we bring Polly on, just want to remind you that if you are watching live, that you give us a hashtag live and where you're watching from. If you're watching in the replay, a hashtag replay and where you're watching from. And if you have any questions or comments about what Polly and I are talking about today, please be sure to put those in the chat and we will answer them if we can, if it's in the live version, and we will send you a response if you ask your questions in the replay version. I think I've done all the fun business side, so let's bring Polly on. Hey, Polly, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Shelley?
I am doing great. We are, I think, past the rain for a few days, so hopefully we get a little bit of a break. We've been inundated here in the Midwest. So how's the weather where you are?
Well, I just got back from Japan. It was beautiful in Japan,
Wow.
But we could use a little rain here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll send my rain to you then. You can have it will balance it out a little bit.
Yeah.
So as you noticed, Holly, I tend not to introduce my guests because I want that to kind of come out in the course of the conversation. But I do want you to do a little bit of an introduction of yourself.
Sure. So I'm Polly Benson. I'm an occupational therapist, and I am the owner and inventor of Legiliner. Legiliner is a rolling ink stamp that prints out handwriting lines for practicing handwriting. Practicing math. We have some different math stamps and we have a music stamp too. So lots of different fun ways to teach handwriting, music, and math.
Awesome. So I was aware of the lines, but I was not aware of the music and the math. So I'm excited to delve into those a little bit today. So you and I met. We're kind of going to hop around a little bit, I think, today with what we're going to talk about. I'm almost going to work maybe in reverse. So when you and I met, we were at an education conference. Mm-hmm. We both had vendor tables there. Mm-hmm. And you came up to me and you told me about this idea that it was just in the beginning stages. This was a couple of years ago. So what is that idea that I'm talking about? And can you further expand on it and kind of give an example or an idea of where it is today?
Yeah, sure. So it's a mastermind group and we're called Purpose-Driven Educator Entrepreneurs. So the members of our group are educators, teachers, parents that teach at home, and moms or people that have a product. And so what I found was when I first started my business, I felt like I was doing it all alone. And I didn't necessarily have somebody I could ask advice to. I went on Amazon and I put my product on Amazon and some teacher found it and posted about it, which was great because it went viral, but then I sold out. And then I oversold 4,000 units. And so that was huge mistake that I made because I got put in Amazon jail for a while. And it just was a real hassle. And so I started looking for some networking groups and business groups. And I found real estate agents, or I found people and teachers that had digital products. And I didn't find anyone that had a physical product that was listing on Amazon or buying overseas or shipping overseas and trying to sell to different markets. And So I started networking with people at the conventions because I found there were other entrepreneurs that had a product and they were at their vendor tables. And I just started meeting some really great people, and we kind of combined to form like a little networking group. And then last June, we put some structure to that group. And now we have a formal group. We have 17 members. And some of the benefits of being a member are something like shared booth space. So you and I met at a very somewhat expensive conference for some businesses. So it depends on the size of your business. But these conferences can cost anywhere from $700 to $1,500. And when you're selling a $15 book or a $15 stamp, like it takes a long time to recoup those costs, and you got to travel there and hotel and meals. So what our mastermind does is they book the table under the mastermind, and then 2 or 3 people will share that booth because we're all part of the same mastermind group. And then you can get in at a third or half of the cost. And so the mastermind has the insurance and does all the logistics for us. And then we show up with our products and we sell. So that's kind of the gist of it. We also have a conference database. We have expert-led trainings. We have people that come in and do workshops for us, like from basic social media, like how to create a reel, all the way through like organic social media and what's really popular and hitting right now with these experts that teach us how to do it as a solo entrepreneur. And then we can actually go to a workshop and put that into practice. And then we have more advanced, like we have AI training, we have Amazon trainings, we have somebody that came and talked to us about taxes, what's taxable, what's how to do sales tax. We had someone come in and talk about how to do your own taxes, what can you write off, what's legal, and what are the percentages. And so we just have all these expert-led trainings. Those are all in a library. So we do them probably once a week. And then we have group meetings where we get together and just talk about conferences we've been to and strategies, things that we've need help with, or if somebody wants their website reviewed, and we give feedback to each other. So it's been a real blessing for sure.
Yeah, it's a very collaborative group. I think it was the conference that I met you a couple of years. And then this year when I was there, the booth next to mine, myself, and of course you were there. And I think there were 1 or 2 other people that are part of this group. And it is so amazing because when I've been in this for several years, and absolutely when I first started, I didn't understand all of the ins and outs of running my own business because I'm an educator. I'm not a business person.
Right.
And so, yeah, all of those things are so important. And educators are some of the most creative people that I know. We often, at least I didn't for the longest time, people would tell me that I was creative. And I'd say, I'm not creative. I don't do flowers. I don't do painting. I don't do, drawings. And they're like, no, you have to be creative because of what you come up with in your classroom all the time. And that's when it hit me that, I do have a creative side. And then I started paying attention more. And I think, like the way that we decorate our rooms, the way that we find things to support our students, and how we build some things and not maybe mass produce them, but we'll just build them for 1 or 2 students. And so finding your group and then, watching it grow and seeing that expansion and that support is truly amazing because, like you said, the conference that we attended, the return on investment, the ROI, it's difficult to gauge.
Right.
First of all, and then second of all, you got to determine, is it worth it? Because as a solopreneur, all the expenses fall on you.
Right.
And I just don't think people realize quite how daunting that can be, especially for an educator, or a mom who has never done anything like that before. And some of these national conferences are, you set up to $1,700, but I've seen some of them wanting, the lowest level way over that even. And there's no way that, you local people can do a national conference if it's far away from them. And so it's such a beautiful concept and idea. And I'm so glad that you were inspired to do it, and that you and your husband, right? Because your husband helps you with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that you and Brian were, able to pull this together, and that it is the success already that it is. And I can just foresee it growing bigger. So that's my next question. What do you see in the future for PDEE?
So we are looking for about 50 founding members. So we're at since we're still figuring things out, we haven't even hit our 1 year yet. We are offering a founding membership, which is half the price of what we would normally charge. And those benefits, we're putting our members through a survey right now to see what we're doing well and where we can improve. And so we see it growing to hundreds and hundreds of members that then will have that opportunity to network with each other. We share audiences. So somebody that's new that comes into the group, I've got 35,000 email addresses. And so that person may only have 500 email addresses, but that's 500 people I don't have. And I have 35,000 people that they don't have. And so I do a little thing called Feature Friday on my Friday newsletters. And I like to feature small businesses and just products that I think are really cool. And so that puts me in front of their audience as well. And it may only be 500 people, but a lot of times those 500 are quality people that they've met in the last year or two. A lot of our businesses are in that 1 to 5 to 7 year ratio of being in years in business. We find, I guess there's a national average of most businesses fail within the first 5 years. I think a lot of that has to do with the business aspect of it. Like you said, you and I were creative. We like to do the things we like to do, and we don't like to do the business side of it. I do not like to spend a lot of time on taxes and orders and social media. I'm not a social media person, believe it or not. But you go on my social media, you're going to see me all over the place. I hired somebody to do that because that's one of the things I learned through this networking is you hire out for the things that you don't like to do so that you're not spending all the time doing the things that are frustrating and hard for you. Hire the experts. We have learned how to use overseas VAs. And so we've got a couple VAs that are in Kenya, and they're much more affordable than the VAs in the US, and they're hard workers. And so there's ways that we are able to make connections through this group to help you do the things you don't like to do and free up more time to write my courses and to write my presentations. I do a lot of teaching across the country. I love doing the vendor events because I love meeting people. I love seeing people tell me, oh my gosh, these changed my life. I love the Legiliners, and so it's a lot of really good feedback. Sometimes there's suggestions and it's oh, that's a great idea. One time someone came up to me and said, I wish you had a number line. I was like, I think we'll have that by the end of the year, and so the number line. And, it just makes things a lot easier for teachers, and it's changing their lives, and it's making the way they teach easier to the students. The students are motivated by the stamps. They like drawing their own lines. They might be crooked, but that's okay. You can write on a crooked line and the kids enjoy it. So, it's, one of those things that we've really just seen where it has grown, and we focus our efforts on what the members want right now. So as a founding member, you can help direct us into where we want to go. One of the things we hope to have in the future is our own conference of small businesses where we can network and collaborate together in an in-person mastermind where you actually set goals and get things done right there in a meeting. And so trying to figure that out as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we have a great question here from Elisa at Soundscapes. So you're teaching what exactly? So tell a little bit more about when you're going to these conferences and you're teaching, and then I'm sure that's going to lead into exactly. And you've hinted at it several times, but the Legiliner and why you use it, and why it's important.
Yeah. So what I teach is often my titles might be something like Scribbles to Success, how to address messy handwriting challenges. So I work with both homeschool. I'm presenting at the Texas Homeschool Convention in a couple weeks. We're going to Florida next week. Actually, Wednesday has a big homeschool conference. But typically, I teach parents how to deal with kids that have messy handwriting that are in the older grades. They're in third grade, fourth grade. You know, we teach handwriting in kindergarten and first grade. And by the end of first grade, kids should be writing full paragraphs. And it's like when I was in kindergarten, I learned the letter people. I don't know if you did or not, but
that is exactly what I learned.
Letters. These kindergartners are writing sentences and stories. They might be three sentence stories, but they're writing sentences and stories. And so they skip over the handwriting neatness, the legibility. And so when kids get into second grade and third grade and they seem to be they're trying to write fast, and because there's so much being put on them, they aren't concentrating or focused on neat handwriting, and their legibility is suffering. And so I'm teaching parents how to address legibility issues, and teachers too. A lot of times when I go to the kindergarten conferences and I teach about how to deal with that student that is struggling or lagging behind. Being an occupational therapist, that's exactly what I was being referred for. So often I would get an OT referral, and it was fine motor difficulties or handwriting difficulties or some sort of issue that was causing that student to struggle and was lagging behind their progress. And so that's basically what I teach about, is a lot of my expertise in occupational therapy, how to address fine motor challenges, sensory motor challenges. I teach about messy handwriting is kind of my favorite because it supports with the Legiliners and how they can be used to help kids improve their legibility.
Yeah. And so thinking about today's kids, not only do they not have the letter people, which is sad, they're missing out on Miss Vowel and Mr. Consonant. And also just thinking about how much writing impacts so much of what we do, and how it is interconnected to reading and processing. And so with kids now today, we're losing a lot of that, not only for the reason that you said of, by the end of kindergarten, now they're expected to be able to write sentences or maybe even a small paragraph, but because even at home, before they get into school, I just don't think that we're doing as much fine motor, which the difference between fine motor is, and I keep doing it, I keep moving my fingers. Fine motor is like your hands, and then gross motor is, the running, the jumping, more of your the rest of your body. But fine motor also includes the brain, because you have to get the concepts through the brain out to the hand to be able to write down. But we're just not doing a lot of manipulative types of toys and playing in the dirt and, playing with Play-Doh and all the things that I can remember doing. Yes, we had the letter people. So yeah, we had some screen time, but we were playing sports. We were, just doing more things with our hands, I think. Am I off on that, or is that the same trend that you're seeing that's also kind of detrimental to the handwriting now?
I think that you're definitely spot on. I mean, obviously technology has changed. I learned typing in 7th grade. These kids are learning typing in kindergarten. They're already on computers and doing a lot of digital screen time for progress and assessments and things like that, videos, whatever. I mean, even gym class, I saw kids that were following a video to do their stretching exercises and warm up. And I'm like, why is that gym teacher not teaching that piece of it? Sure, it makes their job easier, but we're losing some human interaction. And as far as the fine motor skills, yes, technology is playing a role in that. But also, I think that there's two groups of people. When I go to a homeschool conference, there's two groups of people. There's the ones that are all over their kids and intense and making sure that they're doing all the lessons and doing all the things and making no screen time. And then there's the other extreme that, they allow the screen time, but they also are not really having those kids help them with dishes and laundry and tying their shoes, and they're getting Velcro shoes. That was a big milestone, is when you learn to tie your shoes. And so kids, it's just easier to slip on a Croc, right? So the way that the world has moved, a lot of fast food, a lot of TV dinners or pre-cooked foods, that didn't exist. We used to cut and chop, and we didn't have microwaves, and so those are the skills that I see some groups of parents are really, yes, we're going to do the cooking, we're going to chop, and we're going to make things from scratch. And then this, because of society and the ease, it's so much easier to just throw a baked lasagna in the oven. It's still healthy, in some ways. Right. I'm not saying people are always going out to eat, and I don't want to, stereotype anyone, but I'm just saying that the world has moved towards, and it's a natural path towards whatever's easier, and it's the harder path that's more challenging, both for parent and teacher and child. And so we've learned shortcuts. And I think that that's really contributing to a loss of motor skills. But there are those parents out there and people out there that are very much on top of it and enrolling kids in painting classes and Play-Doh and claymation and things like that. And those are wonderful ways to really address fine motor skills. And, you really don't even learn how to properly hold a pencil till you're 4 or 5 years old. So having that 3-year-old write their name where they're just drawing the letters versus actually forming the letters is a difference. There's, how are they holding the pencil? And if that parent is encouraging them to hold it correctly, that's great. If they're not really realizing that they need to address the posture of the hand and the posture of the body for handwriting, a lot of people don't even realize that the gross motor skills and the posture is what's affecting their proper handwriting.
And as educators, we know that in our fields that we went into, we know that. But if I didn't have the education background, I don't know that I would know. I mean, I've watched, the neighborhood kids, my nieces and nephews do different things. And I want to be very respectful of their parents and to, not jump in and say, oh my gosh, you need to do really this. But at the same time, also try to let the parent know, like, hey, coming from my background, you might want to, because nobody wants to be told how to parent, for sure. Especially, and I mean, unless they're, saying, hey, do you have any suggestions for me? And yeah, I've seen things over the years. I'm like, oh, how do I approach this where it's going to be received in the intention that it's given? Mm-hmm. I am definitely not trying to tell someone that they are not parenting correctly, because that's not at all. It's like, I have knowledge that if I didn't have the background I have, I wouldn't have that knowledge, and you not having the background don't have that knowledge.
Right.
So, it is, I always have found that to be a tightrope to walk. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, certainly. I had a lot of neighbors with kids, and, as a therapist in the education field, and as you can identify some students early that might struggle, or that student's going to have a struggle,
right.
But it's hard to tell that to a parent. But when they realize it and they come to you for advice, then that's, certainly a good feeling. And, if there was anything that I do when I run into a situation like that, it's like, hey, you know what? I'm an OT. If you ever need any advice or you ever need any, want me to take a look at something, let me know, and just kind of leave it at that. Put the ball in their court and, reach out if you have questions.
Yeah. So tell me, how did Legiliner come to be? I mean, I know you said there's been some iterations and now you've gotten, the music one and the math one. So just kind of walk us through how it happened and why can't I just use a piece of lined paper? I'm sure is a question that you get frequently.
Yes. Well, certainly you can. The situation that I ran into was I was pushing into fourth grade and fifth grade and these older classes, special education classes, and the kids didn't have lines. When you're learning handwriting in kindergarten, first grade, they give you the guidelines. But then as you get older, they take away the guidelines because one, you shouldn't need them anymore. And two, they take up a lot more space and you just get lines or a blank box. And so the problem with the blank box is kids that don't have good regulation and don't understand letter sizing is they fill up, if they've got a big box, they fill it up with big letters. And, one thing that we're trying to teach them is, okay, we're going to keep it a consistent size. So coming up with the Legiliner allowed me to roll out lines in a workbook or on a worksheet that didn't have the lines. And so I had a stamp made. It was basically a scrapbooking stamp. I had an idea. I was at a scrapbook retreat. I was rolling out some stamps and I was like, I just wish I had one of these with handwriting lines. And I looked it up online and couldn't find it anywhere. And so I had one custom made and I started taking it to these classes and the teachers were like, oh my gosh, you have to patent that. You have to make those and sell those. And I was like, okay, like what's a patent? Like I didn't even really know.
Right.
And it just one day at a time. Okay. I sat down and I looked up what is a patent? How do I get a patent? And tried to, filled out all the paperwork, paid a fee, told my husband, I just applied for a patent. He was like, what? Well, the teachers told me to do this. So I did it. And then I was patent pending. And then it was like, okay, now what? Now I have to actually make this stamp. Right. And so, just took it one day at a time. And the reason that works is because one student in fourth grade might need like thin lines and another student might need something a little bit bigger. And over time, as an OT, I would give this teacher this special highlighted paper. I don't know if you've seen the yellow highlighted paper before, but it's handwriting lines and the bottom half is yellow. And we've used highlighters to show the student where the yellow area is. And so I give those papers to the teacher, but then she saves that paper for their final copy. She's not using that paper for everyday use because it's expensive. And it either came out of my pocket or I have one package of 50 sheets and I've got 10 different teachers. And so, I'm passing out paper. Now, the regular paper that teachers can get or print online, well, first of all, there's printer ink and time involved. But some students that you and I work with often need letter boxes. And so giving that student boxes instead of the guidelines might help them to understand spacing better. And so we also have a stamp that rolls out boxes. And so when one student needs boxes and another student needs lines, now you need two different kinds of paper. And then a third student needs a different size line or the highlighted lines. Now you've got four different types of paper and that gets to be very expensive. It's not very economical or eco-friendly. Like we're trying to save the planet, save the trees, don't print as much paper. Schools, I found a stat one time, I'd have to look it up again, but there's a stat about how much paper a school goes through in a school year and how much of that is thrown away at the end of the school year, like the workbooks and the pages and just, there's so much waste. And so the nice thing about the Legiliners are they're refillable ink. You roll out lines for one student, you roll out boxes for another student. You have a little box, like I use a pencil box. And I was going to see if it's here, but I don't have it at the moment. Mine's a school bus. And so I have all my stamps in the little school bus and you can open it up and I can just pull out the stamp that I need for that student. The student can draw their own lines, which is very motivating for them. And like I said, they could be crooked, but they still write on them and they enjoy it. And whereas before I used to walk into a classroom and the student would be like, oh, Miss Benson's here. Like I have to do my neat handwriting. Like they were, didn't want to see me. They, cause then I'd sit down with them and in fourth or fifth grade, like a lot of times I was sitting down with a student and I was like, well, what do you want to, write about, and they didn't want to write if they didn't have to do it for school. And so to do a writing assignment with me was extra work. And so then I was like, okay, well, let's work on what you're working on in class. And so having that teacher, she'd have to prep something and say, okay, I saved this for you. This is their copying work, and so it just was a lot bigger hassle. But when I was there on the fly, in the spot moment, could just draw out the lines, they could draw out their own, and they enjoyed it. They were like, oh, Miss Benson's here. I get to use my stamp, and so, and then once they got motivated by that, I would leave it with the teacher. The teacher can do their copies ahead of time. If they knew that student needed lines and maybe 2 or 3 students in the class needed the boxes, they could just draw them out on one copy and make their own copies and pass those out. So, it just really makes it more economical, and the students are motivated by it. And, that's where it all started.
So how did you come up with, I have an idea, but I want to know, how did you come up with Legiliner as the name?
Yeah, legibility, and we're looking at different types of names, and it's like, well, it draws out the lines. My first one was the 3 different sizes of handwriting lines, like 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 3/8 inch. And so it was like, well, it draws lines, and we're working on legibility. And so we tossed around a couple names. I don't even remember what the other options were, but when we hit Legiliner, it was like, oh, that just makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of went through a similar process with the title of my book. Like, I had a completely different title than what I ended up with, and I can't remember what the original thing was that I had started with. Is it okay if I pull up your website and people can see a little bit of the website? So the website is Legiliner, LEGILINER.com. And you can go there and find all these wonderful things that I am about to share with you.
Yeah, and we are actually in the process of revamping. We've got a brand new site coming out, and probably next month, just to make it a little more navigation friendly. But yeah, that video there, if you want to play that video, that's a really good intro into different size lines and things that we have.
Okay. Now, YouTube is there music involved in this?
I don't know if we have the music on the website or not. So
okay. Well, it might get flagged, but it'll be all right.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. So those are some of our basic ones that we do show a lot of. We sell a lot of those. One of them you saw drew out 2 lines at a time. That's great for like giving that student the direct model to copy. So you can write on the top line, and then the student can copy directly below, which makes it really nice. A lot of students are overwhelmed by paper because it has all the lines. But on the Legilines, you can just draw out 1 line at a time, or roll out 1 line at a time, and they can practice, and then you can roll another line. And so that reduces the overwhelm. Sometimes students need that scaffolding to make it a little easier for them to do their handwriting.
Okay, good. I had to check to see that it went to the shop now, so that we could look at all the different products. I just want, So here's the one that you were talking about with the boxes.
Mm-hmm. Those make great 10 frames too, if anyone teaches 10 frame math.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then, you've got your 3 different sizes here. And as you mentioned, they're only right now, actually, they look like they're on sale for $16, $15.95. So how long does that sale run?
Well, that sale goes through the end of the month. But we also tend to offer that every month at different times. Our sale price is less than Amazon. We are on Amazon as well, but Amazon takes a lot of fees from us, and so our prices are higher on Amazon. So it's always better, and we take purchase orders. So if any teachers want to turn in a purchase order, they just email that to me. And there's also like a little tool on our website where they can create a purchase order to turn in for the requisition. That's one of our math stamps. So each those little handles on the side that you can see I'm holding onto, if you hold on the opposite handle and twist, it changes the equation. So where if it's like 12 plus 8 and then you shift it one click, it'll be 12 plus the next number down. So it'll be 12 plus 7. So one side on the pink is addition and one side on the pink is subtraction. And our new one is like 1 through 20. The numbers 1 through 20 for addition and subtraction. And then we have a level 2, which is blue, which is all double digits, addition and subtraction. And the yellow one is math facts 3 times 3 through 12 times 12 and division of 12. And then our white one is 2 and 3 digit multiplication and division.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, when you said you had math ones, I was really struggling with how exactly that was going to look. And then when the little video showed, I went, oh, okay, it's a number line. But seeing this just blows my mind that.
Yeah, the teachers love that one. And the fact that it rotates, you get 100 different addition and 100 different subtraction. So 200 different equations on the stamp. And it's out of order, so the kids can't memorize it. But what's fun too is you can take the subtraction and just make a little tick mark and make them addition, and then you can get 300 different problems, and you can always change up the order. So that's been real fun because it's still a rolling stamp. It does change and alter. We have 4 different versions of that, and that one's been a lot of fun for the kids to roll out their own problems and practice their math. And like I said, the letter boxes that you showed there real quick, that one also has the 10 frame. So a lot of teachers will stop at 10 boxes and teach 10 frame math, but it's technically for letter. It originally was for letter boxes, but then teachers were like, oh, I want this for 10 frames. And I was like, oh, what's 10 frame? I didn't know what 10 frame math is. Now I do. So my teachers are teaching me ways to use my stamps too.
Yeah, and there's your 10 frame right there.
Yeah. Well, and another fun thing too is so many people have told us that the lines look like roads and they draw little roads and the kids draw that, drive their little car down the road. Well, we have this really cool friend that invented the hungry cutters, which are little magnets that go on your scissors. And it helps you with keeping the thumb up. So a lot of times our kids cut with their thumb down or pointing, and one of them's a car. And so we put the car on the scissors and drive the car down the road, and you can practice cutting on the dashed line. So that's been fun too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I think, do you have a picture of those? I thought I saw something. I'll have to go back. But
definitely on my social media. Yeah. And then the double solid lines, it looks like a wide rule or a college rule line, but those are also used for handwriting without tears. So a lot of our teachers use that program. And then my favorite stamp is actually this shaded stamp. So I don't know if you can go back a screen, but if you go to all Legiliners and then click on either the pink or the dark blue one, you'll see the shaded. There's the pink one right there. So that has that highlighted lower half of the line. And that's our version of highlighted paper.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that gives the extra visual cue for the kids that need to know where the lowercase letters go.
Yeah. I'll try to make that take us off the screen a little bit. And hopefully people can see that it is there. It's faint. And I know it's, it would be more evident if they were in person looking at it than looking on my screen, but hopefully you can tell on the screens here that this bottom line is pink. And does you said there was a blue one as well?
There's a dark blue one as well. Yeah.
Okay. What's happening here?
If you click on the search there, you can also find it that way.
Okay. You said
it's the same shape, but it's probably page 2.
Oh, okay. Look at all of these different ones you have now.
Yeah.
You did not have all of these when I first met you.
No. Well, that's what I said.
Here you've got
that's our new one, is the giant boxes. Teachers were like,
Yeah.
I want a giant box. And I'm like, okay, we'll get you a giant box.
Yeah. I think the blue was a little bit more visible on the screen than maybe
so the blue one's a 1/2 inch. The pink one is a 3/4 inch. So the 3/4 inch lines are typically used in kindergarten, and then first, second grade are using the 1/2 inch lines.
Oh, okay. And then what is this one?
So that is,
stamp?
yeah. So there is a program called Foundations that teaches handwriting. And it has a 4-line system. So it has the extra baseline, which we call the worm line. So we have a worm line stamp that has the regular tri lines and the extra baseline. And that lines up perfectly with the cloud line, the plane line, the grass line, and the worm line. So those line up perfectly with the lines when you draw them out. And that's a way that they teach the name of what each line is, the top line, middle line, and the baseline. And so it's just a static stamp that goes with that curriculum and fits perfectly with our worm line stamp.
That's there. Yeah. Wow. There's so many things here that I did not know you were doing and this is awesome. Yeah. And so in talking, is there anything else that you want me to, I saw free and teacher. And so I had to show this really quickly to all my educators out there.
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Sure. Like we have lots of free resources. We also have a membership page where the teachers can join, and if they join my email list, they're going to get a worksheet every Wednesday. So I have free worksheet Wednesdays. Here's some of mine in the past that are kind of theme related and get teachers a chance to try my worksheets. They're all basically blanked worksheets on purpose so that you can draw out the boxes for the student. You can draw out the highlighted lines for different student. What I found was I was jumping around to classrooms. I'd go to 4th grade, then I'd go to kindergarten, then I'd go to the high school, and I'd work with a couple sped students in high school. Then I would go to middle school. I'd go back to the elementary school. And so it was hard for me to come up with a lesson plan. And so I started writing some lesson plans that would be based on a worksheet. So for instance, any one of those worksheets you click on, they're free. You can print them out. You don't need to give an email address or anything like that. It takes you straight to the link. And then I say cat in a hat. So I would have the cat in a hat worksheet, and I would use it for kindergarten. And I would give that student the 1 inch tall. We do have a 1 inch tall line stamp that has.
Is it showing? No, it's not showing. Okay. I'm clicking on it, but it's not showing on.
Oh, okay. Did you click on, do you want to click on the link to the left under the name March? Like click on Pi Day or, something like that. Which one is it?
That is where I'm clicking, and it's not because of the way I shared my screen to start with. It's not showing when I go to a different screen.
So you can have one worksheet, and it works for kindergarten through high school. You just give them the right size lines that student needs. We've got some handwriting checklists on there, number rhymes. It's really important to have a strong palmar arch to have a proper pencil grip. And so there's palmar arch exercises on there. So lots of different free resources for the parents. And then if they're interested in the lesson plans with the worksheets, I've got probably 200 to 300 worksheets that I have on my membership site, which is $9.99 a month or $99 a year. And sometimes that goes on sale as well. And that's at legiliner.net. And that particular website has the lesson plans. And so our lesson plans there's 2 free ones there that they can get an idea what a lesson plan looks like, but it's a warm up, it's a handwriting practice. And then the third piece of it is fine motor skills that support handwriting that go with the theme. So they're all theme based.
Perfect. And I just put in the legiliner.net in the chat box. So hopefully if anybody wants to get into that, they can as well. But yeah, your website, legiliner.com, obviously is the best place to go first.
Right.
And then it'll take you out of, any of these other places. So now I'm going to shut down unless there's anything else on your website you want me to show.
Nope, that's good.
Okay. So all of these fabulous things, you were on something called, or you participated with something called Legacy Makers.
Yes.
So tell me about that, because I have no idea. I was looking it up earlier and it looks pretty incredible. So I'd love to hear your firsthand experience with it.
Yeah. So I interviewed for a TV show called Legacy Makers, and out of like 15,000 applicants, they took about 300 people and they did a full episode of the television show on people that are leaving a legacy. And so there's women in power. There's people that are under different categories. I was in the category of product innovators. There's also like people that are doing things that are eco-friendly. So there's a bunch of different categories. And I was one of the ones that was selected for product-based legacy. And so the fact that I invented the stamp, it was also it's changing the lives of teachers, and it's not only nationwide, but I'm international. I'm in Australia, I'm in New Zealand, I'm in England and the UK. And so the fact that this little stamp, this little idea that I have has gone worldwide and is changing lives is, part of what my legacy that I'm leaving. And so it's a story about me and kind of how I came up with the idea. It's also touches on the mastermind a little bit and how we're changing other business people's lives. And it was just an amazing experience to, be filmed. And I was on the Living the Red Life podcast with the creator behind the Legacy Maker TV show. It's on Inside Success TV, which is on Apple TV. It's on Roku. It's now on Amazon Prime. My episode is not on Amazon Prime yet, but it will be coming there. And but I can give you the link to the direct episode. But if they go to Inside Success TV and search for Polly Benson, they will find my episode.
That's so cool. Congratulations. That sounds amazing. And what a legacy to leave, to just help people be the best versions of themselves as possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's incredible. So we have about 5 to 8 minutes left. And I know that we've talked about your speaking. How do they reach out to you if they want you to come and speak? Is it also through legiliner.com?
Yes, certainly. They can email me. My email is on the website, or they can email me directly, polly@legiliner.com. I'm booking for different types of workshops. One day I hope to have a keynote. Have not had a keynote yet, but that's on my goal list. So if anyone's looking for a keynote, I could speak about my experience with the business and motivate people on, how to take an idea from start to finish or start to creation. They can reach me on my email. And then, I think the other thing that's been really fun too is, just helping people out. I'll do Zooms with some groups, and, I like to talk to parents and do different kinds of group coaching. So the best way to reach me is just my email. Oh, and something else we didn't really talk about. Not only do I author my presentations, but I wrote a book, and it's on Amazon, and it's a workbook for messy handwriting. And so if there is a parent out there struggling or a teacher and they want to buy the book, it's available on Amazon. It is a Thanksgiving and Christmas kind of worksheet book. And we're hoping to come out with, I've got 2 more in the works, one's for spring and one's for summer, and those will be published soon. So those will be coming out. If someone's watching this later, they can also find those workbooks, which are more of the Worksheet Wednesdays for them.
Okay. And the way they find you on Amazon is they just type in Polly Benson, all of your stuff comes up?
It should come up. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, I always ask my guests at the very end, as much as I possibly can, to share some final words of wisdom or encouraging words, or just something, that we haven't talked about that you wanted to definitely talk about if we missed it somehow. So this is that opportunity for you to do that now.
I think one of the things that really stands out to me is to follow your heart. And so, one day I was sitting and I was at a business conference, and I was listening to a speaker, and he said, "What is your why?" And I really had to think about, why am I doing this? I came up with a stamp. It rolls out handwriting lines, and I sell them at conferences. I sell them at vendor tables. Like, that's as far as my business had gone. And it's like, what is my why? Is it the teacher? Is it the parent? Is it the student? And I really thought about it. It took a long time, and it hit me that my why is because I work with a lot of special needs students, and they are what motivate me to help. Like, I am a helper. I am a type of a person that is touched when kids can accomplish something. And those kids, when they achieve writing their name, or, they're really neat handwriting and they want to show me, like, that is so internally rewarding to me. I was like, okay, that's my why. And part of that speaker was talking about, okay, once you figure out your why, then you have to have a platform. And I was like, I don't have a platform. And then literally, like, the moment that I said that, I felt like God said to me, you have a platform. Your platform is Legiliner. You have followers. You have email lists. This is where you can tell other people about your why. And so that was like kind of a defining moment for me. And that's what started me on my purpose and why I have a purpose. And I'm not just selling a stamp, but I'm selling a system. And the system is to help the kids with their handwriting process. And so many kids out there, they know, especially, like, I don't know why I keep going back to 4th and 5th grade, but those kids in 4th and 5th grade that have sloppy handwriting, they know it. And they can compare to other kids in the classroom, and their self-esteem is tanked. And so if I can do anything to help that student, these students are really smart and a lot of times can tell you, verbalize so much information. They just can't write it on paper neatly. And so if I can make a difference in that student's life and help them through my handwriting system, the lines, the teachings, the YouTube channel, the videos that I do, whatever, if I can help that student to improve their self-esteem, then I've done something with my purpose. And I didn't have great self-esteem as a kid. I had pretty good handwriting, but that wasn't my issue. I just know that I wasn't as smart as the other kids, or I wasn't as coordinated as the other kids. And so there's so many things that play into self-esteem. And I think that these students can feel better about themselves when they know that they can improve their handwriting. And then it's like, that's a definite difference they see from my handwriting was like this to now my handwriting's like this. And just hearing the kids' stories going, mommy, come look at my handwriting. Like, the teacher put my handwriting on the wall. Like, that was a big thing for one of my students, was just the teacher decided to showcase their writing work. And they couldn't wait because they had been working on it all summer. And this was like a fall back to school, meet the teacher event. And it just went a really long way. So I think as part of being a therapist and a teacher and seeing the kids' progress, that's been most rewarding to me. And, I would just encourage other people out there that are entrepreneurs, or, why are you doing what you do? It's not because of the money. It's not because of the fame and glory, right? And as a special education teacher, sometimes you're changing diapers and you're doing things, but, we're doing it for the kids. And it's because we have a heart for these kids that, like you said at the beginning, they're capable of so much more. They're capable of being in a chrysalis, being a worm, a caterpillar, and growing into a butterfly. And seeing that change just really is rewarding to me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's a lot of similarity to what my why is as well, for having #NoLimits, for, my book, and just being a special ed consultant, and helping families navigate through the special education journey so that we can help as many caterpillars turn into butterflies, and for them to become the best version of themselves as possible. that not only betters them, but it betters all of society and all of our world. Mm-hmm. And hopefully someday, we talked about leaving a legacy, that my legacy will be, I made the world a better place because of all the lives that I was able to help make better and help that person achieve the best version of themselves as possible.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you very much for being my guest today. And remember, to those who are watching, we know who we are, but not who we will be. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, parents and teachers, are you tired of IEP meetings that feel like a battle? Let's put an end to the tension and create a collaborative, calm, and respectful environment together. Shelley Keno, your go-to IEP consultant, can transform your meetings into positive and productive experiences. With Shelley Keno, your child is her top priority, your voice is heard, and you become confident. Shelley Keno is making the world better for all, one IEP at a time. Visit www.shelleykeno.com for more information and set up your free 20-minute consultation today. That's shelleykeno.com, SHELLEYKENOW.